Okay, guys, I'm going to pick up our part 2 of activity 1.3.3. I'm going to start on procedural step number 16, and you can see I kind of have my screen adjusted. So I have my directions over here, and I have this, but I'm directed to create a, I got to come over here, and I'm going to do new design, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch, and I'm basically going to create a sketch by some instructions here. So go to step A here, place a line along the x-axis. I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to try to use the natural constraints of this, but there's a line there, and I'm just going to hit OK. All right, now I'm going to, that's not centered on that line, I don't believe so. I'm going to create a second line coincident with the left end point of the first line and perpendicular. So I want this to be perpendicular. So I want to come here, and you can see if I were to place it right here, it doesn't, but I want to place it right there. And then as I start going up, it's got me, depending on if I drag right or left, it's 90 degrees. I want to be sure to be at 90 degrees. And when I do that, it automatically, I'll hit OK, automatically made that perpendicular. So that added a constraint there. And I want that there. A perpendicular constraint icon should automatically replace the small square at the intersection. Alright, using a similar approach, I'm going to add a third line that comes over. And so right there, I'm going to come over a bit. And I'm just going to go like that. Notice that right now, if I go here or there, it doesn't, but then when I go here, it does. I'm going to hit OK. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and do part D here, which I have it crossing over that axis, which I'll gladly do, but I'm going to come here and click there, kind of drag it out there. Line 5. I'm going to go vertical, and this one I want to make sure that I get a constraint. By going not here or here, but by going completely vertical, it will set that is perpendicular to this one here, so it kind of sets up. Line 6, as you create this, avoid any constraints placing slightly off horizontal. So they want me to intentionally go slightly off horizontal to avoid the natural constraints that would pop up if I go this way. So I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and complete the sketch, making it look kind of janky, in my opinion. I'm going to go here and here. Oops. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to delete that one and go ahead and connect this one to this one. Alright, so it's intentionally kind of screwed up here, and I'm going to fix it by adding constraints. So your polygon might be shaped differently, but this and this pretty good. The point of this exercise is to fix it using constraints. Okay guys, I had to step off for a second, but I'm back here, and I have this general kind of, I think it looks like a boat. But I'm going to now complete the sketch by enforcing some more constraints. So I'm going to enforce a parallel constraint between line 5 and 7. So come over here and parallel, and then I'll click this guy and this guy. It doesn't need to be done. So this says sketch geometry is over constrained. And what that means is, because this line is already set to be perpendicular to this line, and this line is also, they by definition must be parallel. So adding a parallel constraint would make that redundant, and Autodesk programs in general do not let you do that. For a perpendicular constraint, let me go ahead and I'm going to work around that. So I'm going to delete that one and delete this one. And yeah. All right. I'm going to now watch when I go to set this parallel to this, it'll allow me, because again, it's not over constraining that. So enforce a perpendicular constraint with 8 and 4. So that's this one and this one. 8 and 4. Okay, I can do that. Click that one and that one. That makes it look like more like a boat to me. Enforce a parallel constraint. 9 and 3. That's this one and this one. Click that one and that one. All right. And connect the open endpoints. I believe I already did that between 1 and 9. Yeah, that's this line here, 10. I guess I wasn't supposed to do that. And then finish the sketch. All right, pretty good. So now it reads along here. Manual constraints. I can go back here and change things. Let's manually add a few things to my sketch. So I'm going to take a look at its behavior. I want to edit this sketch, so this is a helpful thing. I don't want to sketch on top of something that doesn't take it into account. So instead, I'm going to come down here to the left side of my screen and double click. And I am going to right click and hit edit sketch. And I'm right back into the same sketch editing it. That's a thing I have to do. If I start dragging on elements here, I can see it's a little bit confined, but I'm able to do some things. I don't know, kind of governed by some principles. For instance, I pull this down here, that keeps this line stays horizontal. So it's semi-constrained. I'm going to clean it up quite a bit with my constraints. Okay, guys, so I'm going to determine if the following on procedure number 19, determining if the following restrictions are satisfied in the sketch. So lines 1 and 9 should always remain parallel. Lines 1 and 9 are right here and here, so this is 1 and 9, and those do not look like they... Oh, no, they're always going to remain parallel because of the perpendicular nature between this and this, and that one being locked horizontal. So that is already made. Line 6 should always remain parallel to the x-axis, despite revision of the orientation of any other edge or line. Line 6 is this one here. That is certainly not the case. If I wanted that to be, I would just simply add that. I would just add a constraint, make that parallel to that one, which is always horizontal. And let's see, parallel to that, and boom. So that is now met. 5 and 7 should always be the same length. Okay, I don't believe that's been done. All right, so 5 and 7. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting effect, cleaning that up. But so equal, I want this to always be equal to that one. All right, that's going to be pretty nice step. Design would require that line 3 and line 8 align horizontally so they move up and down together. And again, that is line 3 and 8. Did I say something different? Lines 3 and 8 would require our line horizontally, so they always move up and down together. That's this line and this line as I pause my recording to figure this out. Okay, guys, line 3 and 8, I really believe that's a mistake, and they mean lines 3 and 9. Lines 3 and 8 are just, they're not parallel. I can't imagine understanding how they would move or align horizontally. It does not make sense. So I think they made a mistake and meant line 3 and 9 according to this drawing. That I do understand, and that is simply collinear. So I want to make that collinear with that. Oops. Okay. Now, whenever I grab that, they'll move up and down together. So certainly that seems to be the case. So step 20 is actually to add the geometric constraints to the CAD sketch to enforce each restriction that's not satisfied. I believe I've already done that. 21, I'm going to omit. So I hope that I have that. I don't expect you to do a hand sketch. It has you doing a hand sketch. I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to grade that. So bonus for listening to the video. Alright, 22, use a construction line to create a vertical line through the midpoints of this line. We can use that to create nice lateral symmetry. So I'm going to clean this up the rest of the way. I don't know, that'll be okay here. Okay guys, so I'm on to step 22 here. Use a construction line to create a vertical line through the midpoints of line 1 and line 6. We will later use this construction line as a line of symmetry. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the line button. Then I'm going to come over here and hit construction and make sure that's highlighted. Now, as I scroll along here to go from line 6 to line 1, notice that that triangle pops up. That triangle is representative of the midline. So I'm going to place my point there, and then I go down here, I connect, and I kind of drag, and right there the triangle pops up. So that is the midline. I'm going to hit OK. All right, and that is a very nice thing. Lots of ways of doing that. Now I'm going to, let's see, I think I did this. That's great. Now I'm going to add a vertical constraint to the construction line. So come over here, horizontal, vertical, click that, and boom. So now all of a sudden I know that the midline of this and the midline of this, so this line is always going to be centered over that line, which is a very helpful thing. Procedural step number 23 has me fix the midpoint of line 1 to the origin. So that's fine. I can do that through using a coincident restraint. Coincident, that point, and that point. And hit pause as class change. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do here before ending this is I'm going to make this line, I'm going to use a parallel constraint, and I'm going to square up this line and that line. Okay. I'll hit OK. I'll drag this out a bit. And that seems to be pretty good. Just trying to make it look a little bit more like that, but still, it's not fully constrained. I'm still able to move it a bit, but that looks pretty much like this at this point. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll start it up in another video at step 24.